everybody. Welcome to the episode 9 of the Lunar Sea Spire Steven Universe fan podcast. I'm GC13.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Ken Davis.
And I'm Hunter.
Okay, no hyperbole. This episode was a big one. It better have been. It was the season finale.
I was super hyped before the episode, and after I watched it, it's like it doubled. Oh,
Hunter, do you want to sum up the episode in a single word for us again? I believe it was something along the lines of oh my god!
It was so good! It had the feelings, it had the action, it had a musical number. It was beautiful.
It had the best musical number. And by the way, guys, in case anyone was curious, Garnet is officially best gem once again.
Woo! What'd I say?
Garnet definitely best singer. They finally put Estelle's talent to use, and they put it to use in the best possible way they could have. They sold that fight scene so well with that song. I mean, that was just an A-plus effort from the entire team.
What do you think, Ken? Are you still on the Pearl boat?
Nah, I'm Team Garnet. Team Garnet for show.
Oh my goodness, yes. That was just so perfect. The fact that Ruby and Sapphire are literally in love, it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. Garnet is best.
It was so great. It's so great.
Yeah, that was adorable.
And it makes sense why she was so excited about Stevani now. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, Ken,
Mm-hmm.
what'd you think of the episode?
I thought it was one of the weaker ones. It was actually really overrated. I don't understand the hype here.
Leave.
No,
Get
it was
out
great.
right
I'm kidding.
now.
I'm ranking your chain. It was a really good episode. Not my favorite. Actually, okay, so the first one, The Return, was good, but I do think maybe it's just kind of riding the hype train of the second episode, but the second episode was definitely really, really strong.
When I watched the episode the first time, it's like I loved all the stuff we had learned, but as an episode, I didn't appreciate it so much. But once my brain had processed all of that, and I'm watching it for a second time, I'm able to just kick back and enjoy the ride. It was still so good.
I think that The Return actually did teach us a few things. I don't think that it was just Primer and it wasn't just leading up for Jailbreak. It taught us a couple of things. First of all, it taught us that there are multiple diamonds. So Yellow Diamond is someone, and according to my research, Yellow Diamond is actually the most common type of diamond that there is.
And Yellow Diamond is going to come to Earth at some point. Everybody should be able to see that right away. We're going to get to meet Yellow Diamond probably this season.
I wonder if there are diamonds on Earth in the Steven Universe worlds. Like, does diamond as a gem exist on Earth?
That would be interesting.
You think there's like a single good one? Like there's a single of the diamonds that like empathized with the crystal gems?
No, I mean like as a stone, as a mineral.
Oh,
Does that mineral exist anywhere on the planet Earth in the Steven universe? Although I think what I interpreted your statement at first was whether or not there was a high enough quality diamond gem that could be turned into a gem. But I think we also learned from this episode that the size of the gem doesn't really matter in terms of the gem capital G's strength. Because Jasper's gem was her nose and it was really tiny.
And she was a powerhouse. She's probably almost as strong as Garnet.
her weapon was a friggin' head hammer.
That was great though. Seriously, that was amazing.
Jasper comes in, I'm gonna wreck it.
Oh.
I think we should start off by talking about The Return, and then move into Jailbreak when we're all done with that.
Okay, you want to talk about The Return? I want to say this about The Return. It was really funny watching Steven figure out what we already knew.
Yeah?
What, them being aliens?
I thought Steven already knew that. I was kind of confused there. I didn't understand that was new information to him.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. I guess Steven tries not to think too hard about this kind of stuff.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. He's a kid, so it's going to be something that, he's grown up with. It's just second nature to him. It's kind of like when you have kids who are raised around people who are like, conjoined twins or something. They don't think that much of it. It's just, that's who they are.
So what about Greg's suspiciously specific denial, saying that it's not like I was there? That was funny.
I don't know about that. I think we're going to have to know with the Uncle Grandpa crossover.
On a much more unserious note, there was a really good line. As a politician...
Pointing fingers make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone notice Mayor Dewey's picture in Steven's phone? It looked like he was drunk at a party or something like that.
That was the best selfie I have ever seen.
It was great.
What I think is interesting is Lion is in Steven's contact list on his phone.
Was
I
he?
didn't notice that.
I missed that. It's
Yes.
great.
Somebody
cool.
pulled the screenshot, and there's Mayor Dewey, and Lion is above him, and Onion is below him.
Oh, that's great. I wonder if they have, like, a Beach City Facebook equivalent.
Beach Book?
Sure, we'll go with that. I don't know. I thought that was great. That was pretty cool.
It was real emotional roller coaster with Greg.
When Jasper was referring to the gems, he said something really specific about each gem, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Can we just talk about how cool Jasper is? She's like this big, cruel tyrant of a soldier, and she has clear
I
history
don't
with rose
like
quartz.
Jasper.
You don't like Jasper?
I
Jasper
do
is
not
great.
like Jasper. No, I don't like her.
Jasper. I love Jasper.
She was so, like, she reminded me of that big brutish kid on the playground that talked about how cool he was until you beat him at something and he was like, well, I could do it better, because he was talking about fusion. Fusion is just a tactic for weaker gems. And then she was like, the only reason you beat me is because you're a fusion. I know it is not a he, but I can't help it. I'm sorry.
How can you not like a gem whose weapon summon is the equivalent of a friggin' pompadour? It was
Yeah,
rad!
Such a good weapon.
The only gem who's allowed to have a pompadour is Steven, and we saw what happened when he had a pompadour.
It just went right to his head.
Too much pomp.
But the way
Oh!
Sigh.
Too much pomp power.
I think I need to go to my refrigerator. I hope it's running, because I'm going to need some ice for that burn.
Speaking of burns, I warned you this was coming, but looks like gems do use spaceships.
But it was a hand! Yes, it was a spaceship.
A hand spaceship.
Speaking of that spaceship, the weapons on it were a lot weaker than I expected.
We only saw one weapon, though.
They used like that laser cannon thing, but it didn't really do much. Like humans have nuclear weapons. So, I mean, if that's the baseline of weaponry that we're comparing this allegedly incredibly advanced gem technology to, that laser cannon was pretty darn weak.
I don't think that's a fair comparison. You're reaching straight for the top shelf of human weapons, nuclear weaponry, to just, like, the first...
Even
kind
our
of
middle
shot
range
that they
weaponry is a lot more powerful than what they displayed there.
I feel like that gem weaponry was equivalent to just a pistol. A pistol or a cannonball or something like that.
Imagine there's a much bigger mecha body that hand goes to.
Yeah, we have no idea how big a gem ship that is. That might be the equivalent of a Coast Guard cutter to them. We have no clue. I mean, it was crewed by 2 gems, and only one was the pilot.
Sure, I'm not saying that they don't probably have stronger weapons. All I'm saying is I expected to see them here, and we didn't.
I mean, think of that like a 762 caliber machine gun that we put on the back of one of our patrol boats. Maybe we have a 50 caliber on a bigger boat, but still.
It's possible.
So, in my research on Jasper, there's a lot of different kinds of Jasper. I think that the Jasper we saw here was a leopard Jasper, but I'm not sure.
I was just so excited to finally hear about how the war ended. Now we can reconcile how we have Jasper who remembers the crystal gems because she fought against them, but why the records say the crystal gems were all wiped out. They were probably all wiped out from orbit after the homeworld evacuated the planet because they couldn't hold it. That's why Rose was only able to save herself and a few of her closest friends.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Which means it's impressive that Rose's shield is still strong enough to hold up to 6,000 years of gem tech evolution.
I want to note something. In the Return, when Jasper comes down from the... God, what's a witty name for the ship? The Flying Fist.
There you go.
When Jasper comes down from the Flying Fist, she refers to Pearl as a...
Lost defective
Pearl.
She's the only gem that she actually refers to by name to. She also called Amethyst a puny overcooked runny. Overcooked, I think, is the key word there. We obviously know that other gems were incubated before Amethyst, and she probably came after the fact. And I think it's also interesting, you guys have probably noticed this before in the series, but Amethyst's gem is bigger than Pearl's gem or either of Garnet's gems.
Interesting.
Like, her gem is physically the largest, which is why I was also saying that I don't think the size of the gem matters as to how much power the gem itself has.
This poses a new thing that I don't think a lot of people have looked at. She refers to her as a defective pearl. I'm thinking there's other pearls.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
I'm kind of getting that.
I completely agree. I feel like this is going to be the next is Garnet a fusion theory that we all know is true, but it's just not going to be confirmed until much later.
There's just a planet full of pearls!
Because there's been some discussion more recently about there were a bunch of amethysts. And I don't know whether it was in the Return or whether it was in Jailbreak that they specifically dropped the term the cluster, but I think that's even more evidence that there are a bunch of the same kind of gems. And
That was in Jailbreak.
Jasper, she drops this term about the cluster, which I guess there was a bunch of clusters of amethysts and maybe a few other different kinds of gems where the original kindergarten site was, which is why they wanted Earth in the first place, because there were so many of these high-quality gems which they could make capital G gems out of.
I can foresee an episode where Steven stumbles into a lost civilization full of amethysts.
If there's a planet of the pearls, though, sign me up for vacation.
The cleanest planet in the cosmos!
No, just think they probably would have, like, lecture halls that you could go to. Some places have gardens, some places have amusement parks. The planet of the pearls would have lecture halls, and I would bring my notepad, and that would be the best.
It's Mayor Dewey's dream planet.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to see some kind of fan art of Mayor Dewey with a Pearl harem.
Mayor Dewey has excellent taste.
I feel like Peridot is Pearl 2.0, stripped of all need to fight and just say, go do techie stuff. Because I think it's pretty obvious that when Pearl was a part of the homeworld, she had the same function as Peridot. She was a techie. And I feel like maybe Pearl learned to fight after the fact. Like, maybe until she came to Earth, she didn't see a need to learn how to fight. Before that, she might have just been a clerk or, purely a techie.
And that would explain why she takes to the martial arts with such a... she just really goes for it with the gusto. She studies it very hard, and that might be just a byproduct of her very intellectual origin.
It might also be because why she is collecting the swords, because she isn't just naturally aligned with a specific weapon. She adopted the sword because that's what Rose used.
Maybe. While we're on this topic, was anyone else surprised at how quickly Peridot got taken down? I expected her to be a little bit stronger than that.
Somebody posted something congratulating Amethyst for finally winning a battle. And it's like, yeah, you beat one of the tech support nerds. Congratulations, Amethyst.
That's great.
I was disappointed we didn't get to see Peridot take out her weapon. I wanted to see what Peridot's weapon would have been.
She did take out a weapon. It was a gem disruptor.
That was just one of her, what's her name? Jasper had one too.
Yeah, it's a manufactured weapon, like the weapons from the Strawberry Battlefield probably are.
But I wanted to see
I don't think that was a weapon proper. I feel like that was more like a tase gun, and its sole purpose was to literally tear a gem apart. Because you saw what happened when Jasper used it on Garnet. It was like an immediate kill for her. And so the first thing I think Garnet had to do in the second fight was knock that one thing away from Jasper.
And we finally got to see Garnet being more skilled than somebody she was fighting. Usually she goes force on force. This time she went for a bit of well, I guess we'll talk about this more in Jailbreak, but this time she was showing more of a finesseful approach.
I want to point something out also. In the Return, when Fryman comes over to the side of the street after Steven has been launched out of the van and all the crowd gathers, I think there is a person behind Sadie who looks like an older Sadie. I think that is Sadie's mother, or it is also right next to the Fryman. It could either be Mother Fryman or Mother Sadie.
Nice catch.
I didn't catch that, but based on that, I think I would be more apt to say that it's Mother Sadie, because I remember that Joe Johnston at one point in time talked about the lack of moms in Beach City because someone was like, hey, I noticed the pizzas don't have moms and the Frymans don't have moms, and he was like, yeah, look at that, or something like that. He had a clever response. I feel like maybe there isn't a Mama Pizza and there isn't a Mama Fryman.
What happened to all the mothers?
I have this crack theory in the back of my head that I've kind of been digesting for a while, and I think that when Steven was born, this is horrible, this is like some kind of horrible fridge horror, but Rose needed a human mother to serve to make Steven.
Oh God, no!
And he took Mama Pizza and Mama Fryman, which is why Steven is kind of pudgy. He got that from the Fryman side, and he has the afro from Mama Pizza. I know, it's horrible. It's horrible, but that's like the crack theory I've had in the back of my head for a while. I hope that's not true. That would just be awful if that's true, but...
Poor Lapis, though. So now we have to wonder, did she send the message under duress or not?
No. Why would anyone put her under duress to send that message? I mean, there would be no advantage to forcing her to send that.
Yeah.
She's just trying to try to convince them not to put up a fight.
I feel like the only reason they had Lapis with them was because they know that Lapis came back from Earth. I mean, I feel like if Lapis knew that Peridot was making a fuss about trying to go to Earth, probably all the gems are somewhat aware of one another on Earth, or on the homeworld. And so when Lapis suddenly comes home after all this time, she's so excited to be there, she's like, I'm home! Everyone's like, who you? And she's like, oh, well, I've been on this planet. And so that's probably why they brought Lapis. Because I think it's fair to say that Lapis is true to Steven. I think we can talk about this more when we get to Jailbreak, but I think that there is some importance to Lapis willing to fuse with Jasper. Again, when we actually get to Jailbreak, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but I've got some big thoughts for that. Is there anything else that we do want to talk about for The Return? I know it's kind of awful, but I watched The Return like once, and I watched Jailbreak like 3 times just because of that amazing Garnet song.
I did the same.
That was a beautiful song, though.
Although, I promise I'm probably going to start looking at The Return a while later and figure out, oh my goodness, look at all of this hidden symbolism that I've just kind of been ignoring. And then I'm going to have to be all like, geez, they knew that was going to happen. They knew we were going to gloss over it. So, Garnet is a fusion. Confirmed!
To be honest, it was kind of obvious.
We were all expecting it, but I honestly... Like, we were expecting it in the back of our heads, but for me personally, I was just waiting, like, they're totally not going to make Garnet be a fusion. They're going to find some way to weasel out of it.
I can't wait to hear what Gandalf the Gangster has to say about this.
Oh, I need to bother him about that.
He was that guy who put together that big thread arguing, no, Garnet's not a fusion. It's just so that she's, symmetrical.
Yeah.
Nope, you were wrong. Ha ha.
Yeah, and it's
Wrong.
funny because then you look at... We did get something proved with Ruby and Sapphire, at least. Ruby's gem is on her left hand, so the gem placement does not necessarily have to be symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably they're probably just placed in spots that are important on a human, and most human, parts are on lines of symmetry. But Ruby's is in her left palm, just like it is on Garnet. It didn't have to migrate at all.
I remember a while back there was just some discussion about chakra placements. So I wonder if there's some importance in chakra placement differentiated between the left and right hand. Maybe something, I don't know. Because their personalities obviously complemented one another.
Speaking of complementing one another, let's talk about this lesbian love in a kid's cartoon.
I fell in love with it.
That was so great! Oh my gosh, that was so wonderful!
Oh, it was so sweet! It's so good!
Talk about inclusivity!
Yeah, it was adorbs.
Oh my goodness, that was so great. This is going to do so many things for cartoons. This is going to do so many things for the LGBTQ community. This is just going to do so many things. It's so great. It's so great. And I mean, they kind of hinted at it before. They kind of dropped subtle hints, but it was pretty obvious with Ruby and Sapphire. I mean, you listen to that relationship song. They were a couple. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that was pretty explicit. That was as explicit as Cartoon Network would have let them be.
I mean, maybe I just can't get excited about it because I completely called it ever since Giant Woman, but I mean, it's obvious that fusing is what gem couples do.
It's been obvious in the same way Garnet as a fusion is obvious. It's really strongly hinted, and you would just have to be an idiot not to be picking up on it. But the fact that they spoke to it directly and they made that firm stance on a channel like Cartoon Network, it's wonderful. It's great. And I mean, I don't want to herald Steven Universe as though it's the only kids show that's giving us some kind of LGBTQ representation. I mean, we can look to Jeff's two moms, for example.
We had Cora.
But they did this in such a beautiful and inclusive and right there in front of your face way. It's wonderful. And, as a gay guy myself, I love that they're doing that because I know that this is going to do a lot for kids who themselves are gay or, whatever else is the case. And they're going to look and they're going to have somewhere that they can see that's not in their lives and see that this is okay. It's wonderful. I'm just excited about it.
You learn something new about the people around you every day. I did not know that about you, Dakota.
Yeah, pretty gay.
Pretty gay. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say about 10 gay.
Actually,
that
scale
guy's
is 1 to
gay, but
6.
this one, he's really gay. Not only did I love Ruby and Sapphire together, but I also loved how Garnet acted once they were combined. Just the amount of
that was
emotion
wonderful.
shown through Garnet.
Yeah, she was so happy.
It was so... it was adorable! Gushing!
It's a really good scene.
And then she lays the beat down on Jasper.
Which was an amazing scene, but I am kind of disappointed at how easily Jasper is taken down. I wanted Jasper to be more of a badass than that.
I feel like she was, but Garnet was just in her zone. She was just mad because she's single.
Yeah. So mad. I could feel her jimmies rustling all the way from here.
It was great.
Oh,
it was so great.
It's right in the heart. Right in the heart. So sweet. And I think we can also say that the frustration that was being felt by Ruby, I'd like to predict that was her. I think Ruby has the future vision I think that's what like was rattling around in her head, and she just can't control it very well.
That would make sense to me.
I think that might be it.
I don't know. She was complaining that she can't see anymore. That might be Sapphire's deal.
Well, I
Sapphire's
think if
the one with the
anything-
hidden eyes.
If anything, I think it's something that they only have together. Because you remember in, was Future Vision the name of the episode where Garnet revealed that power? Was that the name of the
Yes,
episode?
Yeah.
In
It
that
was,
episode,
yeah.
you remember when she has a silhouette, both of her bottom eyes are closed and the top eye opens. I think it's only when Garnet is together that they have that ability.
Yeah.
I agree. Also, that eye is purple, so it does seem to strongly indicate that.
Are we still doing fan art requests? Because I have a fan art request. I want to see somebody do a picture of Sapphire crossed over with Alice from the video game Alice Madness Returns.
You know what I think was interesting, though, about this episode? In the previews, we got that big shot of Sapphire, and everyone was freaking out about Sapphire. But in the episode, she didn't get much screen time at all. It was mostly Ruby who got the screen time.
Yep, the old Cartoon Network switcheroo.
And also, they misled us with that promo, because in the promo, it was Steven walking out, and then it cut to Sapphire dragging him along. They tricked us.
Yeah, they're good at that.
Did anyone have any other thoughts on the song? I feel like we haven't paid that much attention to it.
We
Oh, I
started
love
with the
the
song.
song.
The song was amazing. What more can we say? It was so good.
I
There
thought it
were
was a,
so
I thought
many
it was a good
double entendres
representation
in
of
this
Garnet.
song, and it was great.
Not only did we learn a lot about Garnet, but we also learned a lot about just gem fusion as a whole. I like how different people view it. I think if you wanted to look deep into it, which I don't think it was meant to be, but an interesting social commentary on like marriage, of how some people just see it as like, what was her name? Jasper seeing it as just this useless thing, like, whatever, meh. And then Garnet's like, no, you don't understand. You don't
I think
understand.
you're getting the entirely wrong idea about Jasper's feelings on fusion. Jasper is an innately powerful gem, and if Amethyst, regarding Garnet as the boss because she's the most powerful is, any indication, the gems probably have some kind of hierarchy where the most powerful gems tend to rise to the top. So why would a powerful gem, a gem who's powerful individually, want to see weak gems challenging them by fusing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a very vested interest in having social norms whereby they are regarded as the only ones who are legitimately powerful. They would have a very strong incentive to discourage fusion, except probably in the exigency of war.
No, I think I agree with Hunter more.
I mean, I kind of like what you're beginning to get at, Hunter, but I think the symbolism isn't more so stemming from marriage, but more so intimacy, and not necessarily sex, but
Yeah.
in general intimacy, because I think if you
Yeah,
extend that
that's
symbolism
kinda what I
too
meant.
much, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I meant. Just as
Although
a
I do-
placeholder,
I do agree with GC that maybe Jasper's opposition to fusion comes from her wanting to retain this position as her being just like the most powerful. I could definitely see that, because if that is the case, Jasper is a really powerful gem unto herself. Why would she want to promote any kind of system that can make other gems more powerful,
I mean, look at her. She can go toe-to-toe with Garnet without any fusion partner. I mean, Garnet's able to eventually beat her, but strength for strength, I think they're roughly the same.
She also survived that spaceship crash without a shield.
Yeah.
So did
Very, very
Lapis,
tough.
though.
That's a good point.
Although I think Lapis was a lot more beat up than Jasper was in the end.
Yeah, Lapis
Especially
was
since
kinda
Jasper had
kicked
just been
around.
fighting. Something else I noticed was that Ruby was the one who had 4 sides, and she tended to want to panic a lot. Sapphire only had 3 sides, and throughout the entire time, she seemed really calm. I wonder if that's maybe Sapphire taking the edge off, because she's literally taking
You
an
wonder
edge
if
off.
odd numbers just feel cleaner?
Probably.
Odd
Odd
that's
numbers just
why.
look cleaner.
That's why.
So I want to talk about Lapis, her choice to fuse
Yeah.
with Jasper for a minute. We know that the name of that fusion was Malachite, but only because the name was leaked. That just broke my heart so much, because poor Lapis, I feel so sorry for her. But I think that her
No,
willingness
don't.
to fuse, it was an act of rebellion, that it was her claiming control of her own destiny. And it was saying, you know
Yeah,
what,
I mean,
No, it
I'm
was
going
stupid.
to fuse with you,
What are you
but this is
talking
my
about, Ken?
terms.
It was completely unnecessary.
No.
I think it was
Listen,
great, though.
Ken, it was not unnecessary. She wanted to
Yeah, it
make
was.
Jasper pay. If they were to just beat down on Jasper and bubble her, she's just going to be sitting in her little private pocket dimension inside of her gem for eternity. That's not punishment. What is punishment is being dragged into the bottom of the ocean so far that sunlight doesn't reach and being forced to look out Malachite's eyes at nothing with no company but somebody who hates you dearly.
Okay, that still doesn't make her
But
pitiable to
poor
me. That just
Lapis,
makes
she
her
has to
vengeful,
go
and
through it
that's
too.
fine. She doesn't have to. She can stop whenever she wants. I have no sympathy for Lapis. None at all.
Why not?
Ken is a monster!
You are a
She
monster.
did that to herself. She didn't have to.
I just love the irony of what Jasper said to Lapis. They kept you prisoner. They used you. This is your chance for revenge. And I guess Lapis decided, oh, it is my chance for revenge against somebody. Someone who kept me prisoner. Somebody who used me.
Jasper is definitely a manipulator. I mean,
I
you
don't think
obviously
Jasper's
see that.
smart enough to be a manipulator.
Jasper was down for the count. Lapis did not need to do that. She just wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
They kicked the dog one too many times.
I think Jasper still could have, like, broken her neck at that point.
So Lapis had the choice to assist one of the people that had her imprisoned for an extended period of time, and she chose to assist the crystal gems, but why do you think that she doesn't hold animosity towards the crystal gems, I guess is what I'm wondering here.
Because of Steven.
That's
Exactly.
why.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason.
I'd imagine, you know.
I
That's a
don't
pretty
think
weak
that's
reason,
the
I think.
only reason, but I think that it's a good enough reason. But I think that if that was the only reason, she probably would have found a way to stay with Steven. And I feel like she is going to come back at some point in time. Either she's going to release the form and come back with to the crystal gems, or Jasper is going to be able to overpower her and release the fusion. I don't know. But I feel like
I don't think Jasper is going to be too much of a problem. I mean, even if she gets out of the fusion, she's trapped in the ocean with the water witch. Not a very good place to be. I mean, I would put my money on Lapis in that situation.
Can we just talk about for a second how horrifying Malachite was? It had like 4 legs.
Oh, I thought
Malachite was great. I liked her design.
Malachite is probably one of my favorite gem designs.
I
like,
loved
honestly.
the design, but it was still horrifying. Was that not? Did that not scare
It was
anybody?
supposed to be.
I guess
No,
so.
I loved it.
I think it accomplished its mission. And I think it was supposed to be pretty unsettling. I mean, did you notice that its feet were just hands?
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice that. I remember someone referred
Something
to them as
beautiful.
having several hands, but I was like, no, you must be have seen it because she had 4 feet. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they looked like hands to me.
Yeah, I think they are hands.
I don't not believe you. Like, I believe you. I just didn't notice it.
Speaking of people coming back,
Peridot.
we saw
Peridot
Peridot get
escaped.
launched into Earth.
I still am just so sad about Lapis. I was really hoping that she would come around and be a part of the team, and it would be
I
great.
wanted her to
and
join the cast in season 2 so bad.
Me
I
too.
really did.
Oh,
I guess
I was
it's still
pulling
it's,
for her.
it's not out of the question, I guess, but she still might. The ending though was kind of anticlimactic, don't you guys think? They're all just staring at the ocean, and Connie
I thought it
calls
was really
Steven,
funny.
especially Garnet's line.
I thought it was a good ending for Steven Universe.
Steven finally gets to pull a Jim and say, I don't want to talk about it.
That's true. It's true.
I think it was an ending fit for Steven Universe. You know.
It's true. I agree.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at what was it, Malachite?
Yeah, it's Malachite.
Those are totally hands.
Is her hand feet?
Is there another way to pronounce Malachite?
If there was, you can be sure they'd use it.
Yeah, that's true. They don't like to go for the standard pronunciations if they can avoid it. Very interesting that they chose to go with Opal to fight against the...
I mean, it's the only ranged weapon they really have.
What did we call it? The Fist of Fury?
The Flying Fist!
I mean, if the core design trio wasn't enough to take that out...
That's not true. Garnet can shoot her
Opal's bow
fists.
really going to be more powerful?
Wait, when has Garnet
Maybe?
shot her fist?
In Watermelon Steven. I
Yeah,
think she's
she
in
actually
it
shot the gauntlets
at another
off.
point too.
Did she? Oh, you're right. You're right. But yeah, but if she shot the gauntlets, then that's by gauntlets. They're into the ocean.
Well, no, she can
She can
reform
just summon
them.
more.
Just like Amethyst can summon multiple whips, and Pearl can summon multiple spears.
I think firing Opal's bow at the thing was just as effective as throwing Amethyst at the red eye.
Opal's outfit was the same as it was in Giant Woman, whereas Garnet's outfit was different when she reformed from Ruby and Sapphire. I think that might say something.
Well, Garnet was defeated, whereas Opal just defused. Garnet was actually forced to release her physical form, and we see what happens. When a fusion is actually forced to release her form, the gems don't come out right away. Or at least not when they're disrupted.
Okay, somewhat related. When Sugilite was forced to defuse, do we consider that her being defeated because neither Garnet or Amethyst reverted to their gems? They were still their full form when they defused. Whereas Garnet, if your theory holds merit, she reverted back to the ruby and sapphire gems.
I thought that the general consensus on Sugilite was that chances were good that was the surprise of that hit that caused her to defuse. I mean, we obviously can't know for sure. I just thought that was the more popular of the two ideas.
I don't know. I guess what I was getting at is that this is the only instance we've seen a fusion when they were defeated instead of going back to their composite forms as gems.
Yeah.
She went back to her gemstones, like the ruby and sapphire gemstones.
So we can't be sure whether it was the disruptor or the fact that her form was released.
Yeah.
We can't know until we see more fusions in action.
Oh, so many questions, Ray. So much hype.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said it before, but this episode kind of lived up to the hype, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
100%.
Yes. So as usual, Ken, you're being quiet over here.
He's probably listening to that song again. I know I wish I was.
That's a very good song.
I asked Avi if they were going to post it tonight, and I'm hoping like heck that it gets posted.
I would rather Estelle release it as a video on her page because the entire song was about 2 minutes long.
So to bring around full circle, I think the episode definitely does deserve its summarization of.
Oh! I also have a song for you guys. I have another song that I thought of for Lapis. Do y'all want to hear my song?
Mm-hmm.
This is the story of a gem who stole the ocean, who trapped in a mirror. She stole the ocean, and she looks so sad in that mirror. You absolutely love her when she flies.
Unless you're Ken.
Yeah, you might want to work on those lyrics.
I liked it.
I thought it was wonderful.
And I like Lapis.
You guys can go be jealous.
I'm proud of you.
Everybody loves Lapis. It's the new sitcom from Cartoon Network. Didn't you hear?
Everybody loves Lapis.
Everyone loves
Ray Romano.
Once Steven Universe's run is over, they're just going to bring it back as Steven Universe Go, and Lapis. That would be great. I'm calling it right now. It's happening. You know what I'm really hoping tomorrow's episode is? I hope it's an info dump. Because at this point, it would be the 50th episode, and rather than the info dump being something we're having to work through, it would just be so satisfying to get all of this lore, because they're building up with new lore and new things to lead us on. Wouldn't that be great? As far as I understand, I've heard a couple of people talking about that it's actually it's a Steven and Connie episode, but I want it to be a Steven and the Gems just talking about things that happened in the past, literally disclosure about everything they've been keeping from Steven. And I want it to be our info dump, because at this point, an info dump wouldn't be burdensome, it would be really satisfying.
I don't know, I kind of like the slow drip of information, it keeps me addicted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you were talking before about this is going to be a nice breather, a nice break from what we've been subjected to. Like you, I watched Jailbreak like 5 times, and I watched The Return twice. And when I went back and watched The Return after I'd watched Jailbreak, I'd almost forgotten that there was this almost palpable sense of dread hanging over everyone's head. I'm like, oh man,
Like a flying fist?
Yeah, like it just hit me like a flying fist.
I wonder if full disclosure isn't the gem war being disclosed to Steven, but to the people of Beach City. I wonder if the gems would do that, just be open about what's happening with the humans.
You need us, now more than ever.
I wonder how long they're going to keep the crashed flying fist there.
It exploded.
But there are all these salvageable parts. Mm-hmm. They'll probably haul them into the temple pretty quick.
Yeah,
probably it's still there when full disclosure starts. It's
Pearl
still
might
going to
try
be
to like
there
learn
when full
something
disclosure
from all the
starts
technology, try to become more versed in the technology, because as we now know, they're far behind the homeworld when it comes to technology.
I mean, I'd believe it. You saw how she reacted when she put her hands in the console on Jailbreak. She got almost like tingles on her spine. Like when you step into
that was
a hot
more
bath.
like my mind is the internet, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. Make sure to listen tomorrow when we're talking to you about full disclosure. I'm GC13.
I'm Ken Davis.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Hunter.
We will see you all tomorrow.
Good night, America.
Our opening and closing music is by James Roach. For more Steven Universe fan-related content, please visit lunarseaspire.com. Thank you for listening.